Welcome to the Native Diamond Podcast.
Oh, shit! What you waiting for?
What the fuck is going on? Seth Mick here from Native Diamond Podcast. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to a new episode. And on today's show, I have Owen Hill, the guitarist from As Everything Unfolds. Sick ass UK melodic post-hardcore band. Everyone should be listening to them, and I'm sure you have heard their songs, Take Me There and Hiding From Myself. They're also dropping a new album, Within Each Lies the Other. It's going to be next March, the 26th. So set that on your calendar. Go ahead and hit that pre-release button. Whatever you got to do, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be their first full length. I'm excited to share this conversation. It was a lot of fun. We talked a lot about metalcore and shit being kind of stale lately as far as COVID, looking at the states from an outside perspective, female inclusion in metal, and all types of dope topics. So if any of that is striking you, or you just want to hang out with me,
let's do it.
What's up, my dudes? Seth Mick here. This is Native Diamond Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And today, I'm hanging out with Owen Hill, guitarist of As Everything Unfolds. What's going on?
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, doing great, man. Can't complain. So far, so good. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, just like living the dream.
I've heard that means I hate my life usually. No.
It's a little bit backhanded. It means it's just like it's not great, but I can't really complain.
Yeah, I'm just picking with you. But anyway, if you've never seen the show before, anyone tuning in, I ask icebreaker questions to start it off. It's about 25 or so either or style questions. I ask that you try your best to answer them, and if you feel like passing on them, feel free to do that as well. And I'll go ahead and kick it off with the first one. Okay, who had a better album this year? Like Moss to Flames or Currents?
I can honestly say I've not listened to either. I'm just gonna go with Currents, just straight 50-50, just pick one.
Have you heard of those bands at all though? Like besides?
Yeah, I've heard of both. I've never listened to either.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Are you a vegetarian or meat eater?
I am a meat eater.
Cool deal.
I did vegetarian for a little bit and it was great. I felt really good. For some reason, like what I found was that my quality of sleep just went through the roof. Like I was getting the same amount of sleep, but it was so much more like refreshing. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know why I started eating meat again, but yeah, maybe I'll change back.
I've been doing the vegetarian thing for a while. Sometimes when I feel like I want to eat some meat or something like that, I usually go for seafood. That's kind of like my cheap poser vegetarian way out. But yeah, I totally can see that though, because I floated back and forth for the past couple of years, and chicken always got me back on eating meat.
I love chicken so much. I really hate seafood though. I'm not sure what it is, but I've not found a piece of seafood that I like.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's totally like hit or miss for some people. Like I totally get it. And then some people can't get around the whole fishy smell. I think that turns people off also. Yeah,
that could well be it.
What about like sushi? Do you fuck with that or?
Not really. No, like I'll have like is it calamari, squid?
Mm-hmm.
I've had that a couple of times, and that's not too bad actually. I can eat that, but if I went to a restaurant, I would order probably like chicken or a steak or something.
All right, cool. Sorry we got on this tangent about eating. That's been like a big thing to me recently because I've been trying to get back in shape and I've been like totally watching what I eat. So I like asking other people like what their diet looks like.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could say the same.
Well, it's kind of new to me right now. Anyways, like I haven't worked out since like quarantine started for us. That was like back in March. Like as soon as I joined the gym, we got shut down, and I was like, "Well, fuck!" And now they've been charging me for the past 3 months, so I'm like, "Well, I need to get in there." I mean,
Oh man.
I have to pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, like over here when they shut all the gyms and that kind of thing, we were, they at least sort of said you can have the choice to not pay it and like freeze your membership, or
Mhm.
you can pay it at a reduced rate, and then when it sort of reopens, you can keep the reduced rate for like a year or something like that. But that was just the gym I went to that said that. I don't know if that was everyone's.
Cool, man. Yeah, I wish I got that option, but maybe next time. But anyway, next question. Which one do you like better, Amir or Alpha Wolf?
Um, I've only listened to a few songs of both of them. Like you probably going to give away here. I'm not a huge like metalcore kind of guy, but
Mhm.
the I've listened to a few Alpha Wolf songs and I probably enjoyed that a bit more than Amir.
All right, cool. What are you more into?
I prefer just to go for like sort of like the indie rock, the pop rock, stuff like Microwave, Tiny Moving Parts. I love stuff like that. And then
Okay,
I really love like cheesy 90s pop, 80s, 90s pop music. It's like the
cool.
best thing. And then like country folk, which is really weird considering the type of band I'm in. But yeah,
Right. What kind of country is it like?
more like more leaning towards like folk and Americana, stuff like
Oh,
Shady
okay.
Graves, Lost Dog Street Band, that kind of thing.
Okay. No, I can see that. You probably obviously don't listen to Sirius XM because I'm sure it's just in the States, but they play a lot of like Alt Nation is like something that I jam at like work because it's a good medium for like people that like rock but not really like rock. It's kind
Yeah.
of cool because like they'll play like Machine Gun Kelly and like Juice World and stuff like that. So
Oh, nice. Yeah,
yeah, not too bad.
sounds cool.
Anyway, next question. It's a genre question. Which would you rather listen to, gent or thrash metal?
Um, Probably Gent.
Cool. Any gent bands catch your attention?
Again, not really something I hugely listen to. I've heard a few songs by like Periphery. I don't know if you'd class Meshuggah as Gent.
Yeah, I
Don't know.
think I
They're
would say
weird.
yeah. They're like
Yeah,
the originators of gent.
yeah. As another one of those things, I don't really tend to delve down to that down that rabbit hole.
I
But
feel
like,
you.
I'd rather go for like bands like Loathe, God Complex, that kind of thing.
Cool. All right, so would you rather watch movies from the 80s and before or after the 80s?
Probably after the 80s.
All right,
Um,
cool.
I don't really tend to get into. I'm not a big movie person either.
Mhm.
Like the only things I really like from sort of pre-80s would be the classic ones, and then like the post-80s, you've got so much more. And like, I think like the visual effects and that kind of thing are a big thing. Like, it's really hard to get into a film if you can tell it's some guy in a dinosaur costume walking around pretending to eat stuff. Like, I'd rather just see it completely computerized but realistic.
Mhm. Understandable. Um, let's see. Who's a better vocalist? Uh, Brighton Bond from Wage War or Jonathan Vigil from The Ghost Inside?
Um, they're you know what? They're surprisingly different. I find I'm probably going to go with the guy from Wage War, whose name I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's all good. Um, which do you like better, fine arts or culinary arts?
Oh man, they're weirdly different as well. I like both, but I like both for sort of different reasons.
Hmm.
Like I like the just the older arts that you sort of look at and go, oh my god, I can't believe someone painted that. And then you look at the slightly weirder stuff, like, oh, I really want to see a pigeon nailed to a wall? Well, no, but I have now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I totally get that. I was an art major in kind of both things. I mean, I've been working as a chef for 15 years, and before that, I was like really into. Well, I went to like art school or whatever, and it was just hella pretentious. It was a little too cheeseball for me, and I was just like, like I don't know, they're just very much like art is everything around you, and like you said, like nailing a pigeon to a a piece of cardboard or something. Some art is just kind of bogus to me, so I think in
Yeah,
that art, I
I
would
know.
culinary.
I know exactly what you mean. When I went to uni, I did like a music business course at uni, but it was on the arts campus, and like I used to just see the most insane stuff. People like, oh, my art project is covering myself in paint and walking through a corridor. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't really understand it, but I hope you got a good grade.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be difficult to be an art professor and have to judge things and argue with those students about what a passing grade should be or not. I
Yeah, for
feel like
sure.
that'd be kind of a funny thing. Actually, wasn't there like a movie called like it was like Art School Project or something? It was like some years ago. I forgot, but it was kind of making fun of how pretentious art school is.
I, I I imagine that's probably been made into a film. It sounds quite funny.
But anyways, okay, would you rather take a vacay in a cabin in the mountains or a resort at the beach?
Oh man, that's tough. Um, probably probably the beach one.
Okay,
Probably go for
yeah.
the beach one. When I go away, like especially if I'm going near a city, like it's one of my favorite things about touring is that we end up in like a new place every day near enough. Um, and it's weird to think that this city is only 3 hours away from the city we were at yesterday.
Hmm.
But like especially with Europe, it's really different. 3 hours will take you from France to Austria in some parts, and then like it's so different in places. So to have a look around the cities is great. But saying that, I would love to go and just chill in a cabin, sit on the porch, drink a coffee, and look at some trees.
That sounds awesome. I haven't been able to do anything like that in a while, and my birthday's coming up. So like I was like trying to figure out what I would rather do cuz where I live it's kind of a unique circumstance cuz I'm equally the same distance from the mountains or the beach. So it's kind of cool like, if I want to do 2 hours I can go to the mountains or 2.5 hours I can go to the beach. So it's kind of an interesting place to live.
Yeah, North
Is it
Carolina, right?
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina. So like how is it where you're at? Where are you from exactly?
From exactly, if I want to be specific, I'm about 30 miles west of London.
Okay.
Um, I'm in a little town in a county called Buckinghamshire, which is not too bad. It's not bad at all, really. I mean, like it's 40 minutes to an hour on the train to get into London, or you can drive to London if you depends what part you're going to.
Hmm.
Some of it's a real nightmare to drive to, and some of it's so much easier to drive than get the train because you have to go like in and then back out.
Hmm.
But then if I go straight down, I'm only about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from like Brighton and the beach. And then if I want to go 2-3 hours up, then you end up in like the Peak District, which is really nice, a very foresty, a lot of like I guess kind of national parky. It's really nice up there. It's just never tend to go that way for some reason.
That's interesting. When I think about like if I were to ever like visit the UK, I guess in my mind the biggest difference would probably be like everything is like very corporate and maybe like commercialized over here, and I feel like in the UK or just I'm just kind of going off of what I've seen on like social media and stuff like that, but it looks more like historic, I guess.
Uh,
Um,
Kinda. Like when you go to like the densely populated areas like London, Manchester, Birmingham, that kind of thing, those are very kind of like industrialized, commercialized spaces.
mhm.
But then, I'm trying to think of where's a really good example of it. Probably like Newcastle, like way, way up the top, more or less on the border of Scotland. Um, there it's very much like London, where it's very commercialized, and there's a lot of people. It's very industrial. There's barely any grass. If you jump out in your car and drive half an hour to 40 minutes west of Newcastle, you're just in the middle of nowhere, and you're probably about 10 meters from a sheep.
Oh
Like
wow.
it's such a strange, like it's kind of really condensed. You've got everything you need, but it's just squashed into one really, really small little island.
Okay, that makes sense. Where would you recommend? like taking a vacay in like the UK?
It really depends what you want to do, man. If you want to go somewhere busy, like, and there's always stuff going on, I'd say one of the cities. Like London's always got something going on. Well, probably not at the moment, everything's shut. But like, if you're, going in 2, 3 years time and you just, let's just go to a bar and watch a band, like there will be that. There are places like Kew Gardens and that kind of thing where they sort of open it all out, and it's like really like they're just massive gardens, really.
Hmm.
Like, um, and then you get to the outskirts, and that's a bit more sort of a little bit more spread out, but not properly spread out. So London's probably the big one. That's where everything is going on.
Okay.
But it really depends what you want to go on holiday for. If you want to go and watch some music and see a city, that's great. Go to London. If you want to go to the beach, like Bournemouth, Brighton, they're really good.
Hmm.
And if you want to just, go somewhere where there's absolutely nothing around, somewhere like, uh, what's the place called? I went there like 2 years ago and I've completely forgotten what it's called. Like Harrogate, that kind of way. It's sort of like most of the way up in the middle, I guess, just over
Hmm.
halfway maybe. And that's, there really is nothing around. But if you jump in your car and drive for half an hour, then you're at like a town or somewhere with something to do.
Cool. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. So hopefully this thing, COVID, kicks it after a while and we're able to travel and do stuff like that again. Because I'm missing out on a lot of traveling this year. It kind of sucks, as we all are, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did a live stream show last week and I've just missed that. So I never realized how much I missed it.
Hmm.
But it was really strange playing to nobody. But like just to be able to stand there and play some songs with people for like someone else watching was really cool.
That's interesting. We'll get back into that after these questions. I want to know more about some live streams and stuff like that because I've been
Cool.
seeing a lot of them popping up. I'm just curious. But anyway, next question. Say you are at a show. Are you stage diving or are you standing in the back?
Both. I tend to stand at the back of a show if I don't really know what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, it's happened before many times when I've just gone to sort of, oh, my mate's just gone, oh, you know what, I've got tickets to go and see this band later. Do you want to come? I'll say, okay, yeah, sure. And then I'd stand at the back and just nod my head politely. And then they'll play the one song I know. And within the 3 minutes of that song, I've gone to the front, jumped off, and then got straight to the back.
That's awesome. Um, Dance Gavin Dance or Hot Mulligan?
Dance Gavin Dance. Well, they're saying that I did listen to Hot Mulligan the other day, and I thought they were really cool. Both? Can I say both?
You can say both. If this isn't too strict of a podcast, you can do and say whatever you want.
Nice.
So if you're in the car, are you listening to music or a podcast?
Very mood dependent. I listened to a podcast on the way to work this morning, and then I listened to music on the way back.
Cool. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I spent a long time working in shops, just with the general public, but then I got made redundant back in about March, just because my company were going to make like a stupid amount of loss. They had like so much money they were going to lose. So I was unemployed for a few months, and then I got offered a job working in a factory molding plastics. So it's a temporary thing. It's quite boring, but like I'm grateful to be working and have some money coming in. I'm in a much more fortunate position than a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, the restaurant world, I'm like a chef, like I mentioned, but we got shut down for a couple of months and then we started doing like to go and takeout and stuff like that. Eventually we've kind of been phasing out. I don't know how you guys have tackled reopening and stuff like that, but we've been like doing phases. So each phase, more things get to open up and stuff like that. So we finally got to dine in, and it's been just crazy busy, and just because maybe just where I live, but a lot of people probably don't cook at home, and our to go business is like phenomenal. Honestly, it's ridiculous how much to go we do. Do you eat out a lot, or do you like do to go or anything like that?
Um, I realized over lockdown how much I really enjoy cooking, but it's just like it's so expensive to go out all the time. So I tend to stay in. I'll get
Hmm.
maybe we'll get a takeaway like once a week, But it is like it's like crazy expensive around. It's like, if you wanted to get a Domino's, you're looking at spending like £30 to feed 4 people, whereas
Jeez.
if you were just to go to like the supermarket and buy some pizzas and some garlic bread, you could feed everyone for like £10, which
Right.
is crazy. When they reopened all the restaurants around here, they did a thing called Eat Out to Help Out. So
Hmm.
every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, for like, I think they did it for 4 or 5 weeks in the end. But if you went out on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to go and eat in a restaurant, they took 50% off your bill.
Oh, okay.
It was crazy. And then like they sort of, the government repaid it, but it was kind of just to get everyone back to going out and doing normal things, which didn't work great for us because cases went like way up. But like I went out to a restaurant with my girlfriend and I think we both got like a burger and like chips each, and then we got like a couple of beers or something, and that was like 14-15 pounds, which was crazy.
That's
It was
insane.
so cheap.
Let's see. Next question. I don't know if you've seen this show, but I'll give it a shot. Black Mirror or Walking Dead?
Oh man, I used to watch Walking Dead religiously,
Hmm.
and then I got to maybe like series 6, and I kind of got bored because it was just a loop of like the same thing that had happened twice already. Like, oh, look at we found some new people. This is amazing. Oh no, they're bad. And what are we gonna do? Well, I guess we'll kill them. Like,
Yeah.
it was when it got to about the third rotation of doing that, I kind of lost hope with it. If I had to rewatch one, I'd rewatch Black Mirror because every episode was like different. And like, is it Charlie Brooker that writes it?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not gonna lie, because it's like one of those shows that everyone recommends. Like, I've never really watched it. I've seen a couple episodes, but everyone tells me to get into it. So like, I really want to, and I'm just kind of like, I guess that's kind of why I threw it in there. I was gonna be like, well, if you've watched it, like, should I watch it? Should I not watch it? Like, what is your opinion? I guess.
Um, if you want to watch something that absolutely fucks with your head, then Black Mirror's like amazing. It's really good. And if you watch series 2, episode 3, that's actually filmed in the town where I live.
No shit.
So yeah, it's so strange. There's a bit where it's like outside a pub and he's sitting in a van. It's a weird thing about like a bear becoming a politician or something like that. But
Okay.
they've got this kind of like a van and there's a screen on it, and exactly where that van's parked is right outside like a pub that I used to go to loads. So like I've been pretty violently sick where that van is. So
That's
many
insane.
times. Yeah, I completely, when you said Black Mirror, I was like, oh, it's something I've actually watched. And then I remembered, hang on, they filmed that where I live.
That's awesome. I wonder, does that like make you like it more? Maybe like not instinctively, but just initially.
I think that was the first episode I watched, and I watched it because like a couple of my housemates when I was at uni had it on in the background, and then I was like, this seems okay. And then like someone was like, one of these is filmed where you live, and I was like, wait, what? So I went and watched it, and then I was like, actually, that was really good. So I'm going to go and watch more of it, and I think I've watched all of it since then.
That's really cool. I'll have to check it out. It's like, well, I've been watching a lot of different TV shows. Like one show that just came out, it's called like A Teacher. I think it's on Hulu, but it's based. No, I think FX puts it out, but I watch it on Hulu. Have you heard of that show at all?
I can't say I have, no.
Well, it's like brand new or whatever, and they're like rolling out a new episode like every week. But I would recommend it if you see it because it's interesting. It's like a senior in high school, kind of like having an intimate affair. Not affair. Well, yeah, she is having an affair, but like the teacher's having an affair with the student, and it's really interesting. I think it's made by Jason Bateman.
No way.
Yeah, so really good.
Oh, nice. I tell you, I've been watching. I don't know what channel it's on, but called The Undoing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's set in New York. I, for some reason, just assumed that you would have it on American TV, but it's got Hugh Grant in it, and
oh, cool.
Oh, shit, I think it's Nicole Kidman. I've forgotten her name, but that's really good. It's kind of like a murder mystery kind of thing, and it all gets it gets pinned on one guy, but he didn't really do it because that's how it works, and it's like episode 3, and they're already blaming him for it, so you definitely know that it's not going to be him, but Like that
That's
was that was
cool.
really good. I really recommend that one. It's not a very Hugh Grant role. Like normally Hugh Grant's like, oh, I sold my bookshop to buy you this ring and a plane ticket back to America. I hope that's okay. Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble. Um, and in this one, he's just like a man that's been accused of murder and put in high
That's
security prison, and you're just like, shit, this is so different. So yeah, I'd
that's
recommend that one if you've not watched it.
okay. I'll check it out. I've seen it. There's been like a lot of new shows popping up lately, and like I've been watching Fargo too. I don't know if you've seen that, the TV
No,
show.
not got around to that one.
It's pretty cool too. Well, like Fargo, the movie from back in the day, or at least heard of it. Well, it's
Yeah.
like just the TV show, but I just think it's fascinating because like it's all based on true story and
Oh, no
everything.
way.
Yeah, everything that happens is just really fucking strange. Like basically, guy kills his wife and tries to get out of it, kind of thing. And
God, straight into it.
yeah, so you should check that out if you're into the murder mystery thing too. But
Oh yeah,
I'll check out The Undoing for sure.
yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it.
All right, sick. Who would win in this fight, Thor or Batman?
Oh, I. You know what? Just because I'm sure Batman's got some like bat anti-god repellent or something like that, I'm gonna go with Batman because he's always got something like that.
Yeah, that's true. And he brings out like the big toys, like when he has to fight somebody way more powerful than him. I feel like, like
Oh yeah, he's always got something. That's what's great about Batman is that there is always some bat thing that he can just pull
yeah,
out and win with.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would probably go with Batman on that one, honestly. Even though it is Thor, I feel like the technology would win in that one.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
I don't know if you've heard of these bands. They're pretty new. But I'll give it a shot anyways. Boundaries or Wargasm?
Um, I've definitely heard of Wargasm. I think I've heard of Boundaries as well, but I can't say I've listened to either of them. I'm absolutely awful at listening to new music. I've not got like I don't know what it is. I just don't have the attention span to sit and listen to something new. So when I do find a new band that I like, I just become like obsessive over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the new Bring Me EP album that they pulled out, there was a song with a band called Nova Twins on there.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I went and listened to them from that, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So I listened to them non-stop for like 3 days straight, and that was maybe 2 weeks ago, and I've not found a new band since.
That's cool. Yeah, like I'm kind of like ADD when it comes to like new music. Like I'll listen to like a whole album or I'll do it all in like one sitting and then I'm like, all right, heard it, on to the next. And like I'm always just like burning and turning them, like especially like with the podcast, I just feel like, well, the whole point of me starting this thing was to get familiar with like newer things because I was one of those people who like I would listen to like August Burns Red every day and listen to the same album every day. Like Constellations is how I started my day, or like Bring Me the Horizon, Simple Eternal, or whatever. Like
That's such a good album, though.
I would just burn through the same ones every single day, and then eventually I was like, dude, I mean, it kind of like got me out of that kind of music because then you're like, you don't see, you don't find growth, you don't like look for new or like what's popping now, like, you know what I mean, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, for sure. Like I'm definitely in a rut with finding new music. When we used to go out and play shows, like we used to go and do one every sort of like 2-3 weeks, and we would always play with a new band pretty much every time. And then I'd find one of them and go, "Oh my god, this band are great!" Like we played up in Manchester well over a year ago now, and there was a band called Tropic. No, it's Tropic Gold. I was getting confused with Tropic Thunder, but that's a film.
It's a good movie.
But I've not another one I've not watched. But like I was absolutely blown away by how good they were, and I've gone and listened to them like a load since. And that was a lot of how I found my new music.
Hmm.
So like when there were lots of gigs, it'd be like, oh well, this band called Captives have just played with like 8 different bands that I know over the space of 2 months. I'll check them out. And you end up making loads of friends through doing it, and it's like the best thing. But I
That's
can't.
cool.
Yeah, like I just for some reason my release radar on Spotify just never gets used.
Captives is a really good band though. They're from the
They're
UK,
so
right?
good. Yeah, they're from up in Leeds. I was chatting to Chris yesterday. He just got a new kitten, and it's adorable. But yeah, no, they're really, really nice boys.
Cool. Yeah, I've listened to. They had like a new album this year, maybe. Is that
Uh,
right?
was it an EP? I think it was
Or
called
an
like
EP?
Signs. Or
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
there you go.
Well, whatever their latest release was, I remember listening to that, and that was I think that was earlier this year, but it was really good.
Yeah, that's got serious Sempiternal vibes on that, hasn't it?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really good. I feel like they shouldn't be flying solo under the radar, but they're a really good band.
they're so good. Like it's only a matter of time before they do really, really well.
I think so too. I think things just take time, and for some reason, for music to go from country to country, in my opinion, it takes a while for that kind of stuff to catch on.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I'll throw an example out here because I did a reaction to "Bring Me" with Baby Metal or whatever, and they're not big in the states, like as big as people might think. I mean, they kind of are because they played in L.A. and they played that big venue in L.A. or whatever. But like honestly, I haven't heard of them until like last year, I think, and even then, it was like watching Punk Rock NBA or like one of those YouTube videos, and I
Yeah,
heard about them. But like honestly, I didn't know who they were or whatever, and then in the reaction, I kind of got roasted because everyone's like, "Well, they've been around for 10 years and." They got nominated for like best band ever or best metal band uh top 10 or whatever, and I was just like, I mean, I've never really heard them, so um
yeah. It's so weird. I find with a lot of music is that what's popular in the UK is like it's like, oh well, we had this 5 years ago in the US. Like you're missing so much of this stuff, and like this has already become that's not cool anymore, and now it's getting the revival with all the people that are remembering it from 5 years ago.
mhm.
And in the UK, we're like, oh my god, check out this brand new band called ACDC.
That's funny. All right, so it's another band, either or, Polaris or Fit for a King.
Uh, Polaris.
Cool. Do you listen to them at all? Like, I know they're kind of metalcore, and you said what I
Yeah, they're one of those ones that I'm not really in the mood for metalcore a lot, but when I am in the mood for it, I'll always go for a band like Wage War or Polaris, that kind of thing.
you kind of like more upbeat.
Yeah, I find with metalcore, it's maybe because I haven't listened to it enough, but I find a lot of it just sounds quite similar after about half an hour.
Right.
So I tend to just like when I first discovered Wage War it was actually when we were recording our EP that we released in 2018. We were just setting up drums, and the guy Dan that was recording it just stuck on this YouTube mix of this band called Wage War, and I was like, "Holy hell, this is insane!"
Right.
But yeah, when I tend to listen to stuff like that, I'll just go for something that I know that I like. So
Mhm.
I tend to go back to like sort of old Bullet for My Valentine and that kind of thing a lot.
Yeah, I understand that. I think for me, why I'm such like a big metalcore head is like, when you see bands live, I mean, they're obviously way different. But then I always like keep that in mind because like when I go and see these bands live, it's like it's a whole ass vibe. It's like totally different, when you like play an album or play a record or whatever. The experience to me is like way better in like metalcore than any other like kind of experience I've had. Like I've been to death metal shows, been to black metal shows, but just speaking from experience and like just vibes, like I like the vibe. I like how positive it feels. I like when someone falls down, they're getting picked right back up. Um, you just feel really a part of the show, and I think that's what I really like about it. I think it's just from the entertainment standpoint of just like, I just like really enjoy the show and just seeing it live, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can completely see that. Like I'd love I'll always go and see Architects when they're playing, just because like they put on an unbelievable show. Their music's so good, and like the Architects fan base is such a community within itself, that you never really like you can go to a show on your own and feel like you know everybody there.
Hmm. That's true. I think that's exactly what I like about the community. That's a good word for all this type of music that I like, emo screamo stuff. Um, what show do you like better, The Simpsons or Family Guy?
Probably The Simpsons. I do really enjoy both, but I just know that watching The Simpsons, like I'll watch one and then I'll watch about six. And
Yeah.
the next thing I know is I'll start at like 11 at night and stuff like, oh no, it's 3 in the morning. I've got to be up in 3 hours. Oh no.
Yeah, I like The Simpsons better. I think their episodes flow better and like storytelling. Like Family Guy is completely random and just off kilter. Like it goes wherever, and you're just like, I don't know. I just feel like it never stays on the path of like whatever episode it is.
Yeah, for sure. Like I have absolutely nothing wrong with Family Guy. I really enjoy some episodes. Sometimes I think that some of the humor that they throw out is a bit, should you be joking about these kind of things? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's yeah, I've just got to be in one of those sort of like, oh, I'm gonna laugh at something I shouldn't laugh at moods when I watch it.
definitely. Circle Pit or Wall of Death?
As a rule of thumb, I try to avoid both. Um, I'm I'm only 25, but I'm very frail. So
Mhm.
if like gun to my head, I had to do one of them, I'd probably just do the Wall of Death, which seems counterproductive, but
Right. Yeah, they both equally. I don't know. I never jump in, like, honestly, on either or, unless like I've had one too many to drink or something like that. But I've been in Wall of Death, and Circle Pits are kind of fun, but I think I would choose Wall of Death, honestly, even though it is hella dangerous and shit
I
gets
there's
fucked up.
yeah, they're so stupid. I don't really understand the mentality of it. Like, I really like this part of the song, so I'm just going to run straight at this person. But like, yeah, they're weirdly fun. But I'm not really the little pit gremlin that I used to be.
I think it's cool because for it to actually happen, like the band actually has to be like a certain level of like whatever, you know what I mean? Like they don't just happen at every show. So like when you do see it, it's like holy shit, you know?
Yeah, it's sort of like kind of like when you see an eclipse, you're just like, well, this only happens every 3.5 years, so I'm gonna get involved.
Exactly. And sometimes they're not very big at all. And sometimes people don't even get involved. They're just like, nah. Like I've seen some failed walls of death.
Oh yeah, yeah,
um
I've seen way too many of those, especially at our shows. Like when we first started off, when we would play to like 10 people, um, up and down the country, but there would always be a couple of people that were like really into it, and they would always try and start something, but
mhm.
it would never work. So like my favorite memory was in Sheffield where we were playing a show and there wasn't enough people to have any kind of mosh pit. So these two guys just started running and jumping into the walls. So they would run, jump into the wall, turn around, run and jump into the wall on the other side. And I was like, it's one of my favorite memories of playing a show.
I bet it was so fun.
It was
um
hilarious.
what would you rather have? A tattoo sleeve free on the house or a brand new guitar?
I have absolutely no tattoos, so I'm going to go with a new guitar.
Nice. Ever thought about getting a tattoo or wanted to or
I've thought about it so many times. I just know that I'm far too indecisive, and I would love it for like 6 weeks, and then I'd hate it. So,
well, at least you're like self-aware. That probably saves you a lot of money.
oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I've got a couple of piercings. I've got this. This is stretched out.
Cool.
I've got my nose, and then I've got a lobe and a scaffold. You might call it an industrial piercing over there, but it goes like
Hmm.
through my cartilage in both. But I went for those because I was like, you know what, I can, other than minus the big hole in my ear, like I can just take them out and it would just be a little mark, whereas you can't really just take a tattoo off.
Right. Yeah, I have stretched ears too. I'm not wearing any with these headphones. They really like hurt. So you're a real one for wearing those with your headphones on. It just like really
It's
hurts my
only
ears.
it's only a little 10 mil.
Hmm.
It's a really small one. I think it's a zero G, but
Oh, okay. Well,
my ear just perfectly fits in the gap in this headphone, so it's completely fine.
that's a pretty comfortable like width, I guess.
Yeah,
Gauge. I don't know why I said width, but that's a pretty comfortable gauge. I think like by default I'm like 00, but like I wear like I think 5/8 now or something like that. But I used to be a lot. Not that it fucking matters, but like I used to be closer to like an inch, and on the daily it just got
that's
really
mad.
annoying.
Yeah, no, I met a guy once at a Download Festival in the UK, and I can vividly remember that he had like either 56 or 58 millimeter um, things, which was 2 inches.
Hmm.
So his ear was
Jeez.
like way out. It was huge. Like it was like was sitting there going, "Are you not worried that someone would just accidentally get caught on it and rip your ear off?"
That's my thing. That makes me
Yeah,
cringe thinking about it.
that's horrible. Let's stop.
Yeah, for real. I'm not going past where I'm at right now, honestly. So we're good.
No.
Um, which band do you like better? Loathe or I'm trying to think of a better one. Let's say like Sleeping with Sirens. Let's go a different route.
Loathe, I would go for. I've listened to Sleeping with Sirens a few times. I remember was it them that did that? If You Can't Hang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember listening to that vaguely when it came out, and I was like, "This is really cool." And then I listened to a few other songs, and it didn't really hit me. And then I listened to Pierce the Veil a little bit because they were in that same kind of loop.
Mhm.
And I thought they were okay. It was like Tumblr era metalcore.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is okay, but I've consistently liked Loathe for a longer period of time.
Hmm. That's cool. So like, how long have you been into Loathe? Because I've just like kind of got into them this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Loathe, I listened to for the first time probably in like 20. I saw them when I must have been in like first year of university, so that would have been 2015. I saw them with Novelists at this venue in London called the Black Heart, which is amazingly where we did that live stream that we were talking about, but we'll get onto that later. Um, and then they came out with their album, and I listened to it and went, yeah, it's okay, but it might not be for me. And then about 2 years later, I heard it again, and I was like, why the hell didn't I like this first time round? So I probably got into Loathe sort of late 2017, early 2018.
Okay. What album was that? Do you remember?
That was the first one, Cold Sun. It was
Oh,
specifically
okay.
the bit that really grabbed me was the that sort of transition between the first track and It's Yours, the
Hmm.
way it all built up, and then it had that vocal sample saying "loathe," and then it dropped straight into it, and I was like, okay, I'm absolutely here for this.
All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've been recently getting into them. I think it's like one of those things that we were talking about earlier about how something can be big somewhere else and kind of catching on in a different country. But
Yeah,
I've kind of just started to catch on to them and yeah, I don't mean to throw shade by saying this, but like it's kind of reminds me of like Deftones core.
I can see what you mean. I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. I hadn't really made that link myself. To me, like Deftones were just a complete thing of their own. Like nothing ever sounds like Deftones other than
No.
Deftones. Um, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that for some reason, but I like it. I think it works really well. What they do, not that sounds like Deftones, but like, they, well, the new stuff I've heard, it's like the dynamics are like very, very like in the forefront. Like it goes from loud to soft a lot, and I think that's what I really like about it. It's not just like punching you in the face the whole time, or it's not like putting you to sleep the whole time either. So I think it's a good blend, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Their new stuff does sound a lot more towards the Deftones thing you're talking about. But like, I find with music, especially, like if you've got something that's really heavy and it's just relentlessly heavy all the way through from start to finish, it kind of you just desensitize yourself to it.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're going from like really heavy and then you're dropping it down to something really mellow and then you bring it back up, it's kind of like sort of sticking your hand under a tap that's hot and then under a tap that's cold, and you're jumping between the two, and they feel like absolutely way more at the end of each extreme when you've got both there.
Yeah, I think that's what like I liked about Bring Me, like when I first got into them. Like once they got past like Suicide Season, I guess, it felt like their dynamics were a lot better and they like were better songwriters at that point. And not everything was just like deathcore and just like hitting you in the face. And like they actually had a good balance of like soft songs, hard songs, and stuff like that. So I think that's really important to make like a really solid album. You kind of have to have dynamics like be an important part of like your composition, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's very similar to like what I was saying with metalcore, is that if it all just sounds the same, if it's always heavy all the way through, then I'm not as big a fan of it, but it can still be really good.
Hmm. Um, let's say I would fly you anywhere in the world for free. Where would you rather go? Bali, Indonesia, or Paris, France?
I'd probably go to Bali because like realistically, this is really going to show you how small the UK and Europe really is in comparison. But like, it's like a 6-hour journey from here
Okay.
to Paris. I think, it's like from where I live, it's about 2 hours down to the. There's like an under the sea train um, that goes between Calais in France and Dover in the UK, and that takes like an hour and a half.
Hmm.
And then from there, it's like uh, I guess like another 3 or so 4 hours to Paris. So I'd probably go to Bali just because it's new. Like,
Cool.
like Paris is so close that it sort of kind of loses the appeal of it.
Right. You've been there a lot?
Um, I haven't been to Paris for a really long time. I must have gone when I was like 5, but because I was 5, I don't really remember it. That was 20 years ago.
Hmm.
So, but like the UK and France are quite similar. I really, really want to go to somewhere where it's just totally different. Like I'd
Hmm.
love to go to somewhere in Asia just because it's so different.
Hmm.
It's like a
I can
whole
see
new
that.
world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because that would be like me going to Canada. Like, even though it's kind of different, I feel like it wouldn't be like, oh man, this is like way fucking different, you know?
No.
All right, so if you got trapped in a video game, Tron style, which video game would you rather be trapped in? Halo or Red Dead Redemption?
Um, Probably Red Dead. I'm not sure why.
It'd
Just pick Red Dead. I guess because it's open world and I can just go and do whatever the hell I want.
be funny to be a cowboy and you can do all kinds of shit. I feel
Oh,
like
I'd love it. Yeah.
all I did on that game when I played it was just like get drunk and fucking shoot random coyotes and stuff like that.
I played a very, very minimal amount of it. I'm more into like Fallout games, like
Okay, cool.
Fallout and like just Bethesda in general. I really, really like. I prefer those to Rockstar games, but that doesn't mean to any extent that I think they're bad games. I think they're really good games. I just prefer the other ones.
That's cool, dude. All right, I'm going to end with this last of the icebreaker questions, and it's the only open ended question on the list. So, what is your pick for album of the year?
Um, that's really hard. Like I was saying earlier, like Nova Twins, I think their album was really good. Bring Me's album was really good. Um, and then I really liked some albums from smaller bands. Like there's a small band from the UK called Decay. They did an
Hmm.
album called Staring at the Sun, and I must have had that on loop for like a couple of weeks at least. Um, I'll probably go for Nova Twins though. I thought their album was sick. It was really good, and it was so refreshing to hear as well.
Cool. Yeah, I've um I've been like trying to make my list. Well, I basically made it at this point, but I'm gonna do like an album of the year episode towards the end of December with like another podcast, and we're just gonna kind of just hang out, shoot the shit, drink some beers, and kind of just try to get to the bottom of like album of the year. Like I have my list, and I'll present that, so I don't really want to give away anything. But I'm gonna do like a separate EPs of the year, and because I don't know, I just feel like uh the Bring Me was like in huge discussion with like, is it an album, is it an EP? Like they call it an EP, but it's an album on like iTunes, so it's like I wanted to have like a separate category for like EPs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the classification of it, if like, um, I think it's to do with how long it plays for, like an EP versus an LP. I think an EP is like up to 35 minutes, and an LP is longer than that.
Hmm.
I could very easily be wrong, but from what I remember being told, that is how you classify them.
Okay. Yeah, I've been told like also just like iTunes and Spotify in general, like if it's more than 7 songs, if it's like 7 or more, they just call it an album. So I've heard that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Spotify's really strange because like, I think at least like our closure EP was 5 songs, but that was classed as a single for a long time. I think,
That's weird.
which is weird. Like a 5 song single doesn't quite seem right, but there you go.
They need to get the shit together over there. But
Yeah,
anyway,
in fairness, Spotify's really good. Like I really have a lot of time for Spotify and what they do.
oh yeah, I love it. I mean, I was like, I have Apple, yeah, I have iPhone, whatever, and I totally just like canceled my Apple Music because I never use it, and I always use Spotify. I like the playlist like a lot better. The curating is way better on there, in my opinion, on Spotify.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you there, especially as well, like from the sort of viewpoint of someone who's in a band. Spotify is so much more like, I guess, like open and welcoming to younger like artists. You know, we got our first Spotify editorial, no, not Spotify, Apple Music like editorial playlist when we did Hiding From Myself, and that was our first release on a label. But before that, like there was absolutely no way that we could have submitted it, as far as I knew. Like I spent hours searching. And then with Spotify, you know, you claim your artist's profile, which was the easiest thing, and then you upload your music, and then it's just like, oh, do you want to pitch it to some playlists? And you say, yeah, sure, and you just go through this really quick form, like, oh, you know, pick 3 words out of this list that describe your music, and you put it through that, and then chuck it all through that. So I, you know, have so much time for Spotify for having a platform that allows you to do that kind of thing.
Right. Well, dude, thank you so much for playing these icebreaker questions, this little game I played in the beginning. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have fun with it.
Oh, it's great, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, it's time to take a quick break. I know you guys want to hear some music, and I want to show you guys these sick new singles from As Everything Unfolds. So we talked a lot about Take Me There and Hiding From Myself, so I feel like that's what I need to show you guys on this week's Hidden Gem segment. Let's get into the mid-roll. Play that shit, motherfuckers. Stick around.
But the devil, he lives within us.
Well, anyway, I've been dying to ask about this live stream thing, so spill the beans on that.
So this one we did, the one we did the other day was literally a normal show. Like we turned up, we had our sound check, we got our food, we sat around for a bit chilling, and then instead of playing to an audience, there were just a couple of cameras dotting around.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only difference. We were still on stage with all the lights and all the loud sounds coming out of the monitors, and I fell over, I tripped over a cable like I always do. Like it's just become an ongoing joke at this point that if we play a show, I will fall over.
Mm-hmm.
So in all those respects, it was completely normal. The only difference was that we were playing to a couple of cameras and then over the internet to like people watching us. It was weird.
That's interesting. Yeah. Was it like a paid gig or?
We got. I think it was $4.99, $3.99. So was that about $5.50, $6, I guess, to watch it, and then you had the option on the stream to tip as well, like really similar to a Twitch stream.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be like, oh, this was really fun, and all 4 of the people in my house have watched a stream for £4. So like, we'll send you a tenner for you to, buy some beers with or something like that. So it was really great. It was like a really weird thing because we don't, I've seen bands that have like a tip jar for when they're going on tour, but that doesn't really happen in the UK because like the furthest, if you're doing a full UK tour, you can guarantee that the next place you're playing, if it's booked properly, is going to be like an hour and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've not got to drive across 3 states over 6 days to get to your next show.
Like who are the other bands on the bill with the live stream?
So it was meant to be with a band called Listel, who they're semi-local to us. They're about 40 minutes away, but they're a really good band. They were meant to be opening for us, but when they announced the lockdown, they said that we couldn't have sort of like real life attendees, as it were. It had to be done online, and they sort of made the decision then that we weren't going to have a support band, which was again really strange to just turn up, play a show to 4 cameras, to then be like, yeah, cool, well that was done. It was so weird.
That's interesting though. So like, are you guys going to entertain doing like more live streams, or was that the one for the year, or?
It really is going to depend what comes up. I think I can't mention the name of it. We have booked in for another live stream that is going out in December, but that's not going to be live, if that makes sense. Like it's pre-recorded. We've recorded our bits separately, and then the video is going out live in the same way that like a live broadcast would be. But yeah, sorry to break the fourth wall on that one. But we're not actually going to be there at the end of the camera playing our instruments.
Okay, well that's still cool though. At least you're like, playing to some extent, and you're, if anything, you're getting practice from it. So I think that's still a good thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to try to share my screen real quick. All right. Can you see my screen?
It should still be loading. There you go.
All right, cool. So I pulled up your As Everything Unfolds on Spotify, and I just want to show the playlist that you guys are in right now. So new core, new metal tracks, heavy queens, new blood. Is this the most amount of different playlists that you guys have been on, or is this like kind of new, I guess?
It for sure is the most editorial playlist we've ever been on. I'm not sure if I can see it on here, but if there's a Spotify for Artists app, and there is a bit on there where it tells you how many playlists you're on. So like about 3 or 4 months ago, it would say that it says at the bottom how many playlists you're doing. And it's like at the moment we're on about 5,000 people's playlists.
That's insane.
Which is crazy. Like, and before that we were on like 2,000. So like the amount it's gone up has been crazy. The other thing that I find really crazy is how many playlists there are called As Everything Unfolds, that just have all our music on. And I made a playlist for that. It's called This Is As Everything Unfolds. It's on our thing.
Hmm.
So if you were thinking,
Okay.
if anyone was thinking about putting all 7 of our songs that are out on one playlist, we've already got one. Don't worry about it. We've got you covered. Um, what we did find earlier, George sent it through to our group chat, was we're actually, I don't know if you can see it on that one,
Mhm.
Knotfest, like have put us on a couple of their official playlists,
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
is insane. Like it's one of those things that sort of like Slipknot were one of the first really heavy bands that I got into. And then even though, I'm sure it's not Corey Taylor sitting there at the end of a laptop listening to Hiding From Myself singing along to it, but like to know that there are people who are sort of working in with those bands and like doing that kind of thing, to know that they're listening to it and liking it is the most mind-blowing thing to me.
I knew there's a reason I wanted Slipknot background today.
It's probably the Slipknot t-shirt I was wearing in the Hiding From Myself video.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, I don't know. I just feel like they like these guys for some reason. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I
I've gone for
remember
some
seeing,
lovely wallpaper.
yeah, I remember seeing the Knotfest thing. I think it was on your social media actually, or
Was
on
it?
the band page maybe. I remember seeing it though somewhere.
I don't know if we did. I don't remember.
Well,
I should
maybe.
know because I do all the social medias, so I should know
Okay.
what's going on. But apparently, I don't.
Maybe I'm making it up. Who knows? But I don't know. I
You could
just
have seen it on someone else's, to be fair, and that we didn't get tagged in. I'm not sure. Anything's possible nowadays.
yeah, definitely. I think what's interesting is um I mean, I hate the word like female fronted, whatever, such and such, but I think like female inclusive band is what you guys obviously are. Do you guys kind of like been getting a lot of like comparisons to like Spiritbox or that kind of thing, or what's your take on that?
So I knew this was going to come up, and I've tried so hard to think about what I'm going to say, but we always get compared to Paramore.
Okay.
Like if you go on any of our YouTube videos of us, like I can like if you find one that doesn't have a comment that says sounds like heavy Paramore or something like that, like I'll send you some money, dude. Like I really want to see that. But like I get the comparison because Charlie, she really admires Hayley Williams. Is it Lindsay from Flyleaf? Is that her
Um,
name?
I feel like that sounds really familiar, but we'll have
Lindsay
to fact
Strome?
check that.
Yeah, we'll fact check that one. But she's a really big fan of those two. Like, she loves Courtney LaPlante from Spiritbox. She loves all of it. But we always just like everything we get is like, oh, it just sounds like Paramore. And I think Charlie's completely fine with it. I sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that, and then sometimes I'm sort of like, did you listen? And that's it seems really strange, but like I've maybe it's because I know our songs like inside out because I've listened to them so many times when I was learning how to play them and that kind of thing, like when we were writing them. But I listened to a bit where it's tuned down to F sharp and there's a massive breakdown, and then you're sitting there going, yeah, that really does sound a little bit like Misery Business, doesn't it?
All right, so I pulled up her name. So it was Lacey Sturm at
That's
first, and
it.
then Kristen May
Lacey's.
now.
Yeah, Lacey was the one I was thinking of. Charlie really, really admires Lacey's work. We've had many a discussion about this. And having sort of like when I listen to like the Flyleaf stuff, like especially some of the way the melodies are, yeah, I can really see it. So I'm never upset when someone says Flyleaf. I'm never
Mhm.
really that upset when someone says Paramore, because I think they're a really, really good band. But the time where it gets to sort of like be annoying with it is when I've just everything, it's like,
Mhm.
this sounds like Paramore, this bit sounds like Paramore. Like if you go on the Hiding From
Yeah.
Myself music video, there's like a 30 comment thread of people arguing about like accent and the way the words are like emphasized.
Hmm.
And I'm sort of just sitting there going, does it really sound that much like Paramore to make it worthwhile to argue for this long?
Well, the only reason I brought it up is because, well, I really like it when I see female inclusive bands, and I like something different because it's always like, not throwing shade towards any race or whatever, but like it's always like a white straight male doing the screamo stuff. So it's like it's nice to see different inclusivity in this realm of music or whatever. But I think it's so silly that like you throw a girl in there, you throw some screams on top of it, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're like Flyleaf or they're like Spiritbox or whatever. I think that's so silly that people have to make that comparison. It's just okay, obviously, because what, she's a girl, like doesn't really make any
Yeah.
sense, you know?
Yeah, that's the one thing I've really found with it is that like when you're in a band that has like a female singer, it's just you're instantly just comparable to something else. And it's sort of like I think that might be the main thing that sometimes annoys me about it is that there are six people in this band and all of us have sort of like input and ideas on how you think it should be, and you've just sort of instantly dismissed it as unoriginal without properly listening to it. But
Hmm.
no, I do completely agree with what you're saying. Like, having women in there, having people from like, different racial backgrounds in there, it's so refreshing to see. Like, this is heavy music, like is kind of just like that. It is the straight white male music. So to
Right.
have other people coming in there and doing it, bands like Meet Me at the Altar.
Hmm.
I'm going to say Nova Twins again because I really like them.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nova
Like,
Twins, good example.
yeah, to get people from different genders, different ethnic backgrounds, they're all of them coming in and just absolutely killing it is the most refreshing thing. And I really hope that it inspires sort of like a new generation of younger people to come in and do it, because
Hmm.
everyone can do it. It's when you're a fan of it, it's such a welcoming genre.
Yeah.
And that really shouldn't be any different to whether you want to create it or just consume it.
Yeah, totally. And I mean that's like Loath too, you know? Like there's so many like new bands coming up that bring something different to the table, and I just feel like if metalcore or whatever you want to call this type of music, if it's going to grow, then it needs like it needs more different perspectives, you know what I mean? Like it can't just be the same thing over and over and over. Like you said, it kind of gets stale for you. Well, this is like where it should, become refreshing, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
well, that was an interesting take. So how long have you guys been a band? I know like you guys have obviously been doing it longer than 2018 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so like was all this stuff like basically a wipe when you guys signed with was it Long Branch Records? Um
Yeah.
did everything prior to that get wiped or whatever, and this is all just on that record label?
I think we're on about As Everything Unfolds version 4 at this point. Like, the band actually started in, I want to say like 2012 or 2013. Like, it was so long. But we used to have, this was way before I was in it. There used to be a guy called Alex who did vocals in it,
Mm-hmm.
and they did an EP then. And I don't actually know if it ever got released. It probably did, but might not have done. And then Alex left, Charlie came in, they did another EP that I don't know. That might have gone out, I'm not too sure. Uh, and then I came in about 2015, I joined.
Oh
And
wow.
then that was when we did an EP called Collide, which is, I still really like, it holds a very special place in my heart, that EP, because that was the first set of music that I contributed to that was released.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but sort of I listen back to it and I sort of go, well, this is, in comparison to our newer stuff, it's not that great. So that did get wiped. Um, and then yeah, so we still kept Closure up because Closure, everyone, like, when we released it, like, really loved it, and we didn't really want
Mm-hmm.
to remove that chapter because that was like the kind of stepping stone to where we are now. We didn't really want to get rid of Closure because we still really like it. We still play a lot of the songs live.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this album, Within Each Lies the Other, is really sort of like the start of a new chapter. It's a completely new concept of what we want to do and how we're doing it.
Okay. What kind of since you said you're on like version 4 now, has your style of music changed since then, or like were you doing a different genre maybe, or subgenre rather?
Um, I'm trying to think back to it now. The original, sort of like before I was in the band, that was more pushing towards like a Day to Remember,
Okay.
technical, almost like technical pop punk, I guess.
Like easy core.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Easy Core, spot on actually. And then when I joined and Collide, that was bordering on nu metal. Like, we used, but that was, we tried a thing when we wrote it and started writing it where if we think the song should go in this direction, we made sure that we wouldn't do that. And we wrote a few songs, and then we came to writing one of the songs on there called Voices. And it got to about halfway through, and then I was like, hang on, I've got the perfect thing for this. And then we wrote that, and then the whole song like molded together in like an evening. And we were just like, oh my God, this is so much better. Why were we not following our instincts in the first place? That was like the dumbest thing. But because what we were doing is we were starting with an idea and then just seeing where it would take us. We ended up releasing 6 songs that were just like not really all that similar to each other. We were just like, yeah, I like that song. Yeah, that one's okay. Yeah, that one's pretty good. And then we just put them all together and called it Collide and released it. And you know what? It actually did pretty well for us. I can't complain about it at all. You know, there are still people around that have CDs. Like, you know, I know for a fact that we've got a fan called Matt, who's probably got it in his car at this very moment. So, yeah. And then it's sort of progressed till then. What you'll probably find, like, I'm not sure how much about the album we're allowed to say, but we all sort of agree that we don't want something that sounds similar all the way through.
Okay, cool.
I'm sure, you know, if you listened, it's somewhat apparent on Closure that it starts off with like a kind of poppy but a bit heavy, and then it goes a bit more sort of bouncy. And actually thinking back, Closure might not be the best thing. That was quite cohesive as an EP, but this one for sure, it's got the elements of songs that are a lot more mellow, and then it's got songs that are just a lot heavier. I think like that to me is always an album that I enjoy more, is one that each song sounds different to one another. Like they're sort of noticeable. You can just hear the start of one of them and say, okay, well, I know that that's not the song that it was before.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's something that this genre like struggles with or whatever. You kind of mentioned something earlier, so I kind of wanted to kind of rephrase it into a question, but like, you know, at what point does a band like know what direction it's going into? Is it something that's been premeditated from the jump? Like, at what point do you like kind of set yourself into a sound, I guess?
I mean, especially with the newer stuff, I think you'll be surprised at how far apart some of those songs were written. And some of them, you know, some that sound totally different were written within the same week, and some that sound really similar were written 6 months apart. And I think having John doing the synths and all the atmospheric stuff behind all the songs really does give it that sort of like, I'm struggling with my words here.
Oh,
Sort of,
I struggle every day, don't worry.
sort of like that connection that goes between all of them. Like, you know, if you imagine all of them up, each song is like a painting on a wall, then John having the synths and all the atmospheric stuff is the actual wall that it's all stuck on.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. John used to be the drummer. When I first joined, John was the drummer. And we went off to record Collide. And I promise I'll stop talking about an EP that doesn't really exist anymore. I feel so sorry for him. We made him sit in the drum booth for like 2 full days straight and just beat the crap out of a drum kit as much as he could. And he sort of came out and he just said, like, I never want to play drums again. And he was getting really into like his dance music and his electronic stuff since then. So we were just like, well, I mean, do you want to try writing some synths for it? And then he was like, yeah, sure. So he wrote some synths on a song. We were like, shit, this is amazing. Fuck it. We're getting a new drummer. You can't do that anymore. And that's how that came to be. And then sort of from there onwards, we experimented with changing the way we write. You know, sometimes Adam would write a whole song, John would put his bits on top. Sometimes Adam would do it, and then Charlie would do her vocals, and then John would do it. And then sometimes John would start the idea, you know, and set it off, and then Adam would build around it, you know, especially like one of the songs on the album, I'm not going to say which one, but it will become very apparent when it's out and you listen to it, was so like heavily John influenced. And I'm sure I've probably got it wrong, actually. Now I've said it, Adam's going to send me a message like, you're an idiot, I wrote that song.
That's funny. So I know you can't really talk about this top secret new album or whatever, but so
I totally can. I just might not be allowed to say some things.
Right.
It's a very grey area at the moment.
Right. So we'll try to we'll try to walk on that as lightly as possible. But like, so as far as we know, it's coming out March 26th, 2021, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, why that date in particular? Do you guys have all the music ready for it and you're just going to mark it till then, or can you like answer those kind of questions?
Yeah, we have. I have everything on my. I have the whole album on my phone. I've got it's ready to go. You know, I could leak it tomorrow if I wanted to. I probably won't because I'll get properly told off by our manager. But like,
Right, yeah.
um,
Don't
I
do it.
could if I wanted to. So yeah, no, this is by far the most prepared for a release we've ever been. You know, we've done it
Mhm.
before where we've released music and like we've announced it and we've given it like a 4 week time between announcing it and releasing it, and then we're waiting to like 3 days before the deadline to upload it to Spotify to get it done. And like it was so much stress. And this time around we were just like, we've got this whole album. Long Branch very like they took it on and were like, we want to release this for you, and we're like, yep, okay. So it took us a fair while to sort that out. So actually we've been sitting on the mixed mastered album probably for like 3 or 4 months at this point, maybe.
Oh wow. Okay,
we
cool.
went yeah we went and recorded the second part of it in February this year. Actually, we managed to miss lockdown by about a month.
Hmm.
So we got mixes in, I'm going to say April, May, had a couple of revisions on them, sent it off to mastered. So I'd probably say about June, maybe July, we had the full album there and ready to go. I have absolutely no doubt that Long Branch has done like wonderful things for us, and you know the amount of people that like us. When we released Take Me There, we were on 5 Spotify editorials when it came out, which was the most insane thing. Like that's
Mhm.
for us, it's borderline unheard of. Like we'd had a couple of the smaller ones before, but like to land a new core and a Heavy Queens and a New Blood and like all of that in one hit with one song, we were just like, oh shit, like okay, this is serious now.
That's awesome, dude. So like also another question I wanted to ask from like earlier. So like how hard has it been for you guys to gain like a steady following since you guys were kind of like, you switched up vocalist and then you went from this sound to that sound and stuff like that. Did you end up ever feeling like, man, we're kind of like regressing, or did you always feel like you guys were always kind of like moving forward?
Um, yeah, that's not a very easy one to answer. Like it's a lot of the UK, like in terms of live music, is very temperamental. Like you can play a show in one city, and it would be amazing. There would be like, you know, the room's full, and then you go and sort of 3 weeks later play it again, or you know, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and there's like 4 people in the room. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like there's always an element with it of like it feels like you're taking a few steps forward and then you take a few steps back and then you take like 5 or 6 massive jumps forward, but then you take another 10 steps backwards, and it's very turbulent. um I It's always sort of like, for us at least, it's always sort of felt like it was going up in a positive way. And if there were any points like, you know, when this lockdown first started, we were sort of like, oh, our listeners are going down, like, you know, there's not that many new people discovering us, maybe.
Hmm.
We did kind of feel like it was going down, but we knew that when we released this album it was going to go back up again.
Hmm. That's true. Um, so like I wanted to know about your influences in particular because I know when I was asking some of the icebreakers, you were telling me you're not really a metalcore like guy for sure. But so like what are some influences for you personally and for like other people in your band that you can speak on?
Yeah, I'm going to completely come clean and say that I write so little of the music, if any of it. But that's, you know, Adam and John are just, I I can't get my head around how they can hear something and within 30 seconds like they're playing it. Like John is unreal with how he comes up with things for synths. You know, he'll listen to something and say, oh, that needs something in the low mids, and he'll put something there that sounds right. And then it will, like, you don't really realize that it needs it until it's there. And I can't get my head around how that works. But John John listens to a lot of dance, a lot of rap, um, the more sort of EDM stuff. Adam Adam will listen to absolutely anything that takes his fancy. So
Hmm.
one day he'll be listening to Drake, and then it will be Post Malone, and then it will be Slayer, and then one afternoon he'll have like a Nickelback afternoon, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love Nickelback, but
Yeah, it's
like
awesome.
um, because they just sort of listen to music all over the place, it's really hard to know what influences them beyond that. I know for sure, like Charlie listens to a lot of people like, Spiritbox, Flyleaf, Paramore. Like she listened to, I I remember her telling me that she listened to Hayley Williams' solo album that came out earlier this year.
Hmm.
She listened to that a lot, and you can tell sort of like with her that she listens to that kind of thing. But with Adam and John, they're just sort of like, well, we're just going to write a load of songs, and if it sounds like it's a really good song, then we'll do it. I think that's sort of like the issue that not issue, but like with that first EP that we did was we just wrote like 6 songs and went, yeah, we've written 6 good songs, let's release them. Whereas with this stuff, we wrote between Adam and John, they must have written sort of 30 or 40 between them,
Hmm.
either partially or in full. And then these are the ones that came out that are the best, and they work well together.
Okay, that makes sense. I want to ask this question just because it's kind of more for the fans. If you could kind of give me like what hiding from myself means, summary of that.
Charlie wrote. She writes all the lyrics, with the exception of, oh, I would change this word to that word. But hiding from myself is very much about like someone's battle with their own self-worth and their image and their perception of themselves. So I think she really wanted to reflect a song like that, and that's why it works so well for hiding from myself, because it is a battle and it's up and down, it's all over the place. And then the music that goes with it is it's dynamic. It's there's bits where it's, oh, okay, well, this is okay, like the verses you can sort of just nod along with, like this is okay, this is exactly where it's needing to be going. And then when you get to the breakdown, it's a bit all over the place, and some stuff like the chorus is pulled forward by like half a beat, and
Hmm.
it sort of gives it that feel of, oh shit, I'm going too fast. And that's what hiding from myself's really about. It's that there's that idea that you just want to feel safe within yourself,
Hmm.
if that makes
Makes
sense.
sense. I'm sure it was like a very obvious answer with the title, but you never know. Like I just wanted to ask.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure fans want to know as well. And what about like Take Me There?
Take Me There's we never really delve into politics as a band. We're very much, you can believe what you want to believe, just provide, we won't think any less of you providing your opinion isn't hurtful. And that's what it's all about. Like the I've got this press quote for Take Me There that we've got, because like it just like summarizes the song so well. But it says, hypocrisy is all around us, people claiming to have more of a moral compass just because they follow a certain faith, when actually you can be equal or more friendly and love into themselves. This song also displays the thoughts and feelings about being controlled and told how you're supposed to be and feel. So think for yourself, question and defy your norm, become yourself. I think like this song is kind of aimed at the people that would maybe use like religion to be a shitty person.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
you know, someone doing something that absolutely makes no difference to your life, like people being like gay or transgender or something like that, or in some cases being a woman, um, using a religion to justify like thinking that you're better than someone else or someone else is beneath you.
Hmm.
It's sort of like about questioning that. Just be yourself.
I totally get that. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in the States right now, would totally identify with that and relate to that because, it has been like an election year for us. And like, honestly, I've been kind of caught up in that drama and like, in, respect of everything else in the world right now, like with COVID and everything else. Like, I feel like Americans in particular have been really wrapped up with the election and politics and this whole like Black Lives Matter stuff going on that's really important. And, transgender and things like that, those rights that become, invoked or stepped on, whatever. I think that's so relevant right now. So like, I feel like a lot of people could really find a lot of value out of that. That's my long-winded way of saying that. But yeah, like from a distance or whatever, have you been kind of seeing a lot of stuff about like the states and the elections and stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen about the election in the US is mostly it's memes. I'll be honest with you. Some of
Right.
them have been great. Um, I know enough to sort of know that sort of like who sides with what, and you know what one person wants to do and what the other person wants to do. And yeah, it's one of those things that like I will never get the inside perspective on because I'm not from the US. But
Hmm.
like, um, and I only really get the outside perspective. I get a lot of people talking about how much they don't like Donald Trump because of this reason and that reason. But a lot of the people, especially younger people, are sort of voting for Biden, going like, "Well, Biden's going to save us all." But I don't know how Biden's planning on saving everybody. So it's
Hmm.
not really the kind of thing I can have an opinion on, past the fact that I think Donald Trump um, could do with a bit of a slap, to be honest.
That's funny. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the outside opinion or whatever. And I'm not a big fan of Trump, so you don't have to walk on eggshells with me.
Cool.
I think he's a
Yeah,
complete idiot. So
he's unique. Well, and let's be thankful that he's unique. It's very strange. I find it like, especially being on like having kind of like people that will sit and listen to it. I feel really pressured sometimes to be so uh like non-biased and
oh
that kind of
yeah,
thing, like
like
because
vanilla.
yeah, like, and I'm sure everyone would know, like, you sort of you look at everybody, you think about like bands like Blink 182 and Green Day. They never really, well, Green Day's not a great example because they did a whole album about politics.
Hmm.
But like, Blink 182, you think, well, who do they vote for? They've got to have an opinion, but they're completely unbiased. But like, I really, really try and go out of my way to make sure that nobody's offended or upset by what I'm saying at any point. So
Hmm.
it's such a hard tightrope to walk across.
Yeah, I've been kind of feeling that pressure lately because, like I mentioned before, like I do reactions, and most of the time, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'll just be honest, they're drunk reactions. Like me and my wife, we'll have a couple drinks, and it's just something fun that we do, and I just do under the podcast because it's related to music. But it's a good way to make myself look like an idiot. But I enjoy it and have fun with it. But some people like they're just so like you have to be PC and totally politically correct and correct about everything that you say. And I feel like for myself personally that I don't want to be like, I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but like I don't want to be vanilla. Like I want to have opinions, like, and I want to share those opinions because that's the whole point of a conversation, right? Like, I want to share my opinion, like what I think is good, what I think is bad. And not in a respectful way, not like I would be like, this band fucking sucks, that band's great, like whatever. It's not so night and day, but I think it's really important on my part to have an opinion or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Everyone is their own person, and like the humanization of it is amazing. To go past the fact that oh, you're someone from a band that I really like, but you never talk about politics, so you can't be political. And in the same way, like, oh, you're in Rage Against the Machine, you have to be political.
Hmm.
Like, you know, it's a very interesting thing to sort of, I guess, hear the opinions of people that aren't normally expressed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you while we're kind of on the subject, but I'll kind of start wrapping it up here. We've been talking for a while, but it's been
Yeah,
fun.
sorry.
No, we're good. Like it's been a very delightful conversation. But so have you heard the new System of a Down? Are you like stoked that they're back, or do you not really care?
um, yeah, within, I suppose that I don't really care is the thing. I imagine I will check it out at some point, but I've never been like, oh my god, these are the best band ever.
Yeah,
Like when I've
yeah.
listened to System of a Down before, like I've listened to a couple of songs and gone like, that's okay, but I've never been like one of those people that would be, oh, System of a Down just released a new song, like absolutely sprinting to my laptop to listen to it.
Yeah, I feel that. Um,
So I'll for sure check it out though. They're one of those bands that have a massive name for themselves for a reason, so I'm sure that it will be probably quite good.
yeah, it's okay. I'm not gonna lie. Like, like Protect the Land, um, like if I didn't know the context of the song or even the Genocidal Humanoids song as well, if I didn't know like kind of the underlying like story of the songs, I would be like, this is not a good song. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it's just kind of boring, you know, like we did a reaction to Protect the Land and it's very repetitive, but like the whole meaning of the song, it's like actually a fundraiser song because they're all like Armenian and all that stuff that's going on there. They're basically under attack by what is it called? What is that freaking country? Oh my god, I feel like an idiot.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of them.
Azerbaijan or
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. And so they're under attack by that country. And so it's like a fundraiser basically. So it's like helping the people of Armenia, you know, against the attacks and just kind of helping with like supplies and stuff like that. So like,
Oh no way. That's amazing.
so if I didn't know that, you know what I mean? Like I would totally trash the song because I'm like, not really into it. But it's a very like Protect the Land. It's a very like nationalist kind of song or whatever, you know, nationalist pride and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people might find value in that, just knowing that. So, you know, before you like critique it too hard, just keep that in mind, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I love you know, like you mentioned punk rock MBA earlier. I love going through stuff like that and like hearing the stories behind songs and albums and what they mean, and like it really can completely change how you listen to some music, and you know, for the better a lot of the time.
hmm Yeah. And that's basically what I was trying to say. My long witted way of saying that. But I just thought it was interesting. And I mean, I wouldn't even known that unless I looked it up. So I think sometimes it's kind of cool to do like a little bit of research before you dive into something because you know, you might find more value in like the actual meaning of a song, you know, like the underlying
Yeah,
point.
yeah, for sure.
But anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm sure you have better things going on tonight, and
uh,
you know,
Honestly, I've got no plans tonight. I'm gonna go and there's a new episode of The Undoing. I'm gonna go and watch that.
nice.
But other than that, yeah, I've got nothing doing.
Well, that's cool, dude. Well, I really do appreciate all the time that you've given me, and dude, it's been fun chit chatting with you. Like, I love talking to people from a different country altogether. It's very to me, it's like it's really unique, you know, like because I talk to people from the States all the time. It's so awesome to get a different perspective, especially on the States and American culture, and just talk music with someone else. It's really awesome, dude. I really do appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to hit on two more things before we head out. It's
Sure.
kind of become the question I like to ask everyone before you know I leave. Um, the current state of music, whether you love it, you hate it. What is something that you feel like could be changed for the embetterment of the scene?
Um, so like the one thing that I would particularly change about the UK scene, especially is like we spent so long in the small touring band circuit. Like they have a thing in the UK. I don't know if they have it in the US. They call it pay to play, but you basically get some like predatory guy who puts on a show and says, okay, well, you know, I've booked this show, but here's 20 tickets for you to sell, and they're like £8 each. And if you don't sell all of them, you have to pay me for the rest of them. And like it
Mm,
really just feeds on people that are young, excited to be playing music and that kind of thing. And it can really take a lot of the fun away from it. And you know, a lot of the time, especially like with the younger bands that are just excited to go, if they don't sell all these tickets because they live 3 hours away and no one's heard of them, like
mm,
it can cost them like, you know, £100 easily for them to play this show to like nobody, and kids can't afford that money. So that's
no.
the one thing I'd change, especially in the UK.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I just like to know everyone's take or whatever. I know a lot of people kind of been complaining about like Spotify royalties and stuff like that. So I'm just always curious as to like from an actual musician point of view, rather than like a fan point of view. Like what is something that you would actually change if you could? It's kind of like if you're running for president of the scene or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the right person to be asking about like Spotify royalties, because like I'm one of those rare musicians that thinks that actually, you know what, we could be paid more, but is it worth it? You know, if you pay us more, they're not going to make enough money, because it is a business at the end of the day. They're not going to make enough money to keep afloat. So they'll end up charging people more, and it will keep going up like that. They'll pay more, and then they'll charge. And then the next thing you know, no one's using it, and we're all illegally downloading it again, and no one's getting paid. So, it's an ever-changing world, but Spotify and that kind of thing is really probably the best of a bad situation.
I think so, because everyone that I've talked to here recently, like especially like your band, who's riding on like 4 or 5 editorial playlists and stuff like that. I feel like that stuff is like really helping that career, especially right now, because you guys aren't really playing live shows, and even though you're doing a live stream, I mean, who's to say that, which one's better or worse or whatever. So I think it's very important to get any kind of exposure that you can, and you wouldn't be able to get that if it wasn't for Spotify. So, you have to take the good with the bad in every situation. So that's just a interesting note to leave on, and we'll kind of leave it at that, and maybe bring it up in a future episode. But
yeah, for sure. I'd love to come back on. This is great.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you have fun. And anyways, is there anything that you want to say and leave behind to the viewers and listeners before you head out? Anything you want to drop about your new album about to drop, or anything that we're about to look forward to?
Have a listen to our new single if it's out. If it hasn't come out, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. But just thank you to yourself for having me on here. And then I'm going to give a shout out to Long Branch Records, Jay from Savior, for helping. You spoke to Jay to help organize this, which was amazing,
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many people, like a weird amount of people working behind the team to help get our music out. I just want to say a big thank you to all of them for helping people listen to us, and thank you to everyone that has listened to us from it.
Definitely. Good way to leave. And yeah, also from me, myself, thank you, Jay. Thanks for setting all this up. I really do appreciate it. When I initially reached out to you guys referred me to the manager, and I've been shut down enough times. I was like, this might be one of those situations, but I was like, I think I like came back on it a few weeks later, and I was like, you know what? I sent the email, and then he was totally cool, and he set the whole thing up. So don't always jump to conclusions, guys. If you're listening, give things a chance.
Yeah, no, like that's one thing. Like one piece of advice I'd always have to someone who's like trying to do something like creative, like music or podcast, is if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. Mm-hmm. And if you do ask for it, the worst they can do is say no or don't reply. Like, no one's going to completely cancel you for just asking if you can interview someone on a podcast or whatever.
That's true. And that's actually the best way to leave on it. Always shoot your shot. So we'll leave it at that. And until we, hopefully we'll meet again, or get to talk again, and hopefully get to talk with a few more of your bandmates, and I can bother them with some icebreaker questions. Who knows?
That sounds ace, man.
All right. I'll quit recording and we can chit chat after the show, but that's basically it. So thanks again. As everything unfolds, go check out their latest release. As of right now, it's Take Me There and Hiding From Myself. Thanks for being on the show. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys.
Thank you so much, man.
Yo, that pretty much does it for today's podcast episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I really do appreciate it. Every listen I get, it just means a whole lot to me. And if you want to support the podcast, you can do so. There's a link down below. I think it's through Anchor. You can contribute as less or as much as you want to, and you don't have to do that at all if you don't want to. Of course, it would just be dope if you shared or something like that. Just let other people know about the podcast, because all these platforms, they do a fucking shitty job of helping promote podcasts. So if you like the show, please recommend it to a friend, or give me a dope ass rating or something like that, or just keep tuning in as always, because I'll keep doing my thing. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and until I see you guys on a future video, shine on.
Hell yeah.